If you have ever been curious about Dungeons & Dragons, or the people who play it, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Ready Set Roll Insight, where you will learn how to be a better player and what drew people to the game in the first place. Now, join us for Insight with your host, Daniel Wells.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ready, Set, Roll, Insight. It is your boy, Sunny D. No, it's not Sunny D. It's just Daniel. And with me today is a familiar guest to you all. It's our lovable DM from Project Nova, Craig.
Yeah, I've been on the show way more than I thought I would be.
Look, I'm just going to say it. Trying to get guests lined up this month was actually kind of a bit of a problem. A lot of people backed out at last minute due to preparations they had to make or something weird like that. I don't know.
What preparations do you have to make on the show? It's like just show up and talk.
Oh, in life, not in interview land.
Interview land.
Something about toilet paper going missing in Walmarts and other stores. You know, that stuff.
That stuff is so crazy right now.
Dude, I went to Walmart last night and it was amazing just to see nothing. Just nothing on the toilet paper shelves. But that's not what we're here today for. Well, kind of, actually. As people know, been hearing it for the last little while. Coronavirus going around, cases being confirmed. To let you know, none of us have it, even though we do sound kind of sick. Both of us do.
Yeah.
Just common colds. Trust me, we are doing everything we can to take preventative measures to keep coronavirus from affecting us and affecting Anthony, the main worry of this.
Specifically, Anthony. He's like a cockroach. He'll be fine. He'll be the one that survives.
If there was any of us to get coronavirus, it would be Anthony.
But he would be like Typhoid Mary. Like, he wouldn't be an active... like, he would be a carrier, but he wouldn't show any symptoms.
Man, it's just happening all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on, man.
Everybody around me's getting it, but I'm not. I'm fine. I don't understand it.
First it was the fleas. And
the fleas.
But yeah, so just wanted to get that out of the way at the start of the episode. But on to questions for Craig. We're coming into basically the end of Project Nova at this point. We're in Arc 3. The story is starting to come to its climax. The big opening of the in-between worlds into the actual known Milky Way galaxy. And I think there's like, an hour left or something like that?
So you all have an hour left, if that. The last thing, so this episode's coming out on a Sunday. The following Tuesday will be, you all have an hour left, and you guys are planning on going to Selene to talk to the Mother Tree.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta ask you, man, like, coming into what's basically going to be the conclusion of Project Nova, how do you feel coming out of it? Like, succeed or fail on our end?
I've had a lot of fun with this. I was kind of doing it as like an experiment to think that I could go outside of the realm of high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons. As you know, I sent everybody that was playing a PDF file saying, these are the changes I made, and this is the reason why. Here are the backgrounds of each race. Pick a race, pick a class. That's because I hindered each race to the classes because of certain things. So, as we've established, humans can't do magic, so you're not going to have a wizard or, a sorcerer that's a human. And let's go. I didn't really go too deep into it, and to be completely honest, I'm really satisfied as to where we've started and where we've came from to now. You guys have met expectations every time I go to edit an episode. Even though I was there, I get a good chuckle every now and then, or at least once an episode, from something that we say, something that we do, our callbacks, just and we do have a really interesting story going, and I have to credit mainly you all more than me, because yeah, I set up the starting gates and I just opened it up and said, let's go. And you guys have been the horses just leading the trail.
Well, I think all three of us have thoroughly enjoyed your DMing and your story on this through and through. Although information here and there gets lost by us in translation, or we miss an important clue that may save the entire universe.
Oh my God, yes.
It's still been just an enjoyable time, and success or fail, I'm just gonna say I've had tons of fun, and it's really gonna stick with me, kind of like how your Jackals campaign stuck with me all those years ago. But then, since we're coming to the end of it, it won't truly be the end of Project Nova. I'm sure we'll still have side shots and whatnot going into the universe itself. Maybe not in the Milky Way galaxy if things don't go well. But maybe a track back to Project Damocles and stuff like that in our side shots.
Yeah, like we have a whole galaxy that we can explore if we wanted to go back and do different side shots. And I think that we've established enough lore and stuff in the galaxy, that in our like little universe, that we have endless supply of things that we can do. For example, your Damocles thing. In a couple weeks, I'm going to put out a side shot episode of Project Pantheon that we did. That should be fun. We can just, it doesn't have to be, Kurt's, Zilla, and Valric's mission. We can go out. There's other people in the world, and there's other things going on in those worlds, and we can explore that if we really wanted to. So I'm fully going to let you guys, if you all want to DM, say if Dylan wants to DM one or whatever, and say, hey, I want to do it in Project Nova's world, go for it. You all know the boundaries that I've set forth, and if you want to bend the rules or whatever, that's perfectly fine. In Damocles, we had giant fucking mechs. That's not really in Nova, but it's a cool aspect, and I like it. So, fuck it, let's go have fun. Also, to answer your previous question about you guys. It wasn't really a question, your statement about you all missing information. Do you have any idea how hard it is for me to not bring up certain things that you all have misinterpreted? It's so hard for me. I just want to tell you all, like, you're not thinking about this right.
Well, I think also Dylan's magic and abilities, like his character Kurtz's magic and abilities to speak with the dead, did help give us clues. Now, if we misinterpreted them or not, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's somebody who's listening to this podcast goes like, how did you guys miss this important clue? By the way, viewer, please message us on Facebook or something. Give us the hint. We need the hint. Just spill it all out. Spoil it for us.
I would be the only one that would see it because they don't check it.
I check. I just don't react. And I'll be honest, I didn't think Valric was going to make it through to Arc 3. I thought it was going to end up making a new character, but ended up Valric got dragged into Arc 3 because of the ending of Arc 2, with Ratchet, our big bad, presenting an even worse threat than what she was to the galaxy.
I want to ask you a question. In Arc 2, how did you like, or what do you think of about Ratchet's plan? Like, so as you know, I like sympathetic bad guys. So Alpha was a sympathetic bad guy because you could see what he was doing. He was just lashing out. He's kind of like a teenager lashing out for attention, Ratchet was doing what she was doing, for better or for worse, to try to stop this invasion. How did you like her as a villain, even though you really didn't meet her or get to interact with her that much?
The way she was doing it, and the reasons she had for doing it, those is what I enjoyed, because she wanted to just save the galaxy. However, the way she enacted it, I don't know if it was. It's not practical, I don't think. No, it was practical. Like, it was in her thought that, hey, if we're all in just robots, right? We're just all one brain system together. These things can't take us over, and we're together, we can take them out. However, she kind of wanted to take away everyone's free will in the process. For the greater good, but it wasn't for everybody's good, I guess. It was maybe more selfish in her desires. Especially because she started off wanting to help Sprocket, the marked ones. That was her original goal. Because the marked ones were discriminated against, she wanted to help, elevate their standing in society, or help them be able to actually be in society without, let me think, give them equal opportunity, so to speak.
Yeah, I want to like comment on these things, but some things I don't want to, like, you all can find out more about this, and I plan on setting you all up to find out more about this, but so I don't want to give anything away. But I will say on the Sprocket front, she was trying to take away their ability to do that stuff so that they would be equals, like you said. She wanted to give them an equal playing field. How she was going about it was kind of weird and fucked up, but in her mind, she was like, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, So you're not going to have any drug trials without any adverse reactions to some people.
And going back to Alpha, actually, is going into Arc 2 whenever we visited Alpha in the prison, what was his connection to Ratchet? Since at this point we're so far past any going back to that, what was their connection?
Okay, so Dean, in the Dr. Dean files, talked about Ratchet.
Mm-hmm.
Ratchet was the person who actually helped him break the genetic code so that he was making viable offspring, because what he was originally doing, they weren't taking. Like, he could make them live for just a little while, and then they would just burn up and die. But he was working with Ratchet to figure certain aspects out. He started putting, like, brain chips in them to try to control them, especially Alpha, because he was so, aggressive towards the later stage in his life whenever he became more of like a teen.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Ratchet were making these brain chips, and that was mainly his connection with Ratchet. Whenever he went into full-scale production, Ratchet was using Alpha as like a guinea pig to see how well these brain chips worked.
Okay. And now here's another big... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a loophole that you all kind of missed. She was using those brain chips to, because it was like a step up, or maybe I can control these Ravengers. They are nothing to me, right? That's why in the very end of Arc 2, whenever we had the big battle, she brought in the Ravengers because she can control them, because Alpha was putting those brain chips into them.
Right. Okay.
If that makes sense.
I mean, it does, especially with Alpha giving that keyword phrase to Zilla, find Ratchet in his last dying breath, which at that point in time nobody understood. What the heck is Ratchet? Of course, Sprocket gave us all kinds of shit. It's like, yo, Sprocket, who's Ratchet? And, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't be asking questions, or I'll break your arms. I don't know.
Well, you can understand where she got there, because she basically killed her own sister, or thought she did, and you can imagine how traumatizing that could be, even though she is crazy as shit.
Then we made her do it all over again.
Yeah, basically. Relive that trauma.
Um, Now, you answered my question completely. Good Lord.
Oh,
I'm
my
so
bad.
congested.
My bad for answering the question.
Yeah, stop answering questions.
I'll be super vague and cryptic. I'll give you a
And
riddle.
so, yeah, Alpha was more of a chaotic presence as a villain to me. He was rebelling. He was angsty. He wanted to see Dr. Dean dead. His plan was just more of a destructive one than it was a create something new. He used the Ravagers to his own ends, so on and so forth. And then Sprocket was the mastermind behind all the plan. She
Ratchet.
had
Ratchet, not Sprocket.
right. Ratchet was the mastermind behind the plan. She wanted to get everything together to fight the invasion that is now happening in Arc 3. And as far as the villain goes in Arc 3, I personally can't form, like me as a player, I can form an opinion. They're interesting because they're. If the Draugr were the Borg, then the Anu. I don't really have. I don't think there's really anything to compare them to because they're not they're a hive mind, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if they were always like that. They were more like, in the way you've described them in the story, like locusts. Like creatures that just come in, eat all the resources, destroy the land, and then move on to the next land. And it seems like they've kept that theme, that mantra, throughout their metamorphosis into the ooze as well.
Yeah.
And it puts me on a footing like, what's their end goal? We know what their end goal is. To kill the tieflings, but at the same time, this is spilling over heavily into the galaxy itself, and there's no shortage of casualties. So I just think that maybe my opinion is they're on a revenge plot, but their revenge is destroying everything around them at the same time. And that's me as a player.
Yeah.
And a listener.
Well, I have there's a whole lot more that you all are going to figure out, or I hope you all figure out, and but knowing how you guys are, I'll set up like 15 different traps, and you guys are just like, well, we're just not going to go that way, and we're going to go this way, because this door has the boss in it, and I'm like, oh shit, there were so many cool other things over here, but it's cool. And then you guys are like, well, I just don't understand, and we have all the pieces, or, well, we're missing the corner pieces, but we have all the middle of the puzzle, you know what I mean?
Because we kept accidentally just hitting the boss room every time.
Yeah, you miss out on a lot of stuff because of just the way you all play, and as your DM, I have to account for that, so I'll be doing, like, secret roles in the background for other characters to try to put pieces together. If you've noticed, Delmont, whenever Kurtz and Delmont are talking, I'll roll for Delmont to try to put pieces together, as, like, he is an NPC, but he is intelligent enough to, and he has his own, like, background in that type of stuff to try to figure stuff out. So whenever Kurtz brings him a problem, it's within the realm of possibility that he could try to figure it out and possibly, give you all a piece of information that you didn't have previously.
Well, he's a knowledge keeper of his people.
So whenever Kurtz was trying to figure out, like, how the Anu operated and why the canisters were on Selene, it wasn't that far of a leap for me to say, well, maybe he realized that the Ermites operate in the same manner, or a similar manner, as the Anu do. So I rolled for it. He got a pretty high check, and I was just like, well, you guys weren't going to find this information out any other way, so here we go. Let me do a little data dump on you. Speaking of, how was it being a player of an Ermite, how do you feel knowing that your that your people that you helped build the society for are inevitably linked to the bad guys?
I love it. I really love it, honestly. Me setting up this whole everything will find the green one day and just join the green. It's like just this infectious plant race. And the fact knowing that this a new race is potentially the progenitors of the Ermites. And that's where the Ermites got this whole, well, if we cover everything, we're all one together, right? I, I do feel like I had a little piece to play in that, and I like it, and it makes me happy. I just wish I could have made Eldar go all the way to Arc 3, you know.
It would
But
have definitely been different, a whole different game.
but again, I
Because
feel that his arc ended in Arc 1.
yeah, I like the way that we wrapped things up with Eldar. And Valric is such a totally different character, and he has a totally different perspective on the world, and it makes a good back and forth, especially with the fact that you and Kurtz are constantly butting heads, and Zilla's just kind of in the background, just doing whatever the hell Zilla does.
Right. So I guess I think it's time for us to move on to our third question. What's next after Project Nova for Ready Set Roll?
Well, I don't think that you should ask me that, because really the person you need to be asking is yourself. After Project Nova wraps up, we're going to play your campaign that we've done a bonus episode on, and it was kind of like a prequel to what we're going to be doing. So we played our characters at like level 1, and we rolled all our stats and stuff, and we're going to do a high fantasy campaign with Dan. What we did with our bonus episode was really fun. I had a blast with it, and Daniel, you have no idea what you were about to get into with me playing as Jose de la Mancha.
Yeah, I do love though that basically you took us out of any form of high fantasy into space, and I'm bringing us right back into it,
Yep.
right?
Like a meteor
Slowly.
striking the ground.
But it's kind of the place that I'm comfortable with, and I feel like I can tell the best story for the podcast and for you guys as well. Um, Especially the setting that I have. Like I have everything ready, prepped. I know where I'm going forward with it, and I'm excited to get you guys into it as well. Like I've got my story beats ready, I've got my beginning, I've got my middle, I've got my end, and then you guys are there to fill in the gaps to connect the chains.
And we're there to make you shred it all up and start over from anew.
Oh, heavily drinking the whole time. Trust me. I'll have the glass next to me at all times.
If you haven't noticed, that's been my mantra. Have a glass of whiskey in hand, everything's okay.
I mean, I think the funny thing is that all three of you are playing races that don't have dark vision,
Oh yeah,
and that's like the first time I've ever had a party not have at least one person with dark vision, and two of you all are dragonborn, which is also interesting. So I've got one human, two dragonborn, and I'm curious how this is gonna go.
not very
Especially
well.
because I'm gonna have to be dealing with two of your party members have elemental resistances. So a lot of creatures are just gonna do jack diddly shit to your party at some points. But
Yep.
I'm really excited.
I had a lot of fun with your the start of your campaign. Like I said, we it was just fun to actually. I like to play as a player, and I had a really good time with the characters that we built, and we obviously, since we've been playing, we already have chemistry. So we just kind of hopped right in, and it was like, it's go time, let's go, and it was a blast. So I can't wait for that.
Well, I hope all the people listening to Ready Set Roll are excited to hear me take the reins. Hopefully with a little less congestion. And do you have any questions for me? I guess let's go ahead. Any more questions for me? I guess going into the ending and all that.
Not really. I got like a couple updates for this next month coming up.
Oh, let's go ahead and get into those.
So Dylan and I are both going to have children. Dylan's going to have his first kid, and I am about to have my second. I'm going to name my kid for the name after him, the Times. I'm going to name her Corona Iris. Um,
Oh, God.
Corona Iris Thomas. We're gonna name her CC for short. Um, COVIT. Corona Iris Thomas. Okay, enough with the jokes. But,
Bah.
but yeah, we are seriously. We're both about to have kids, so but that shouldn't affect the episodes coming out. We're actually going to record within the next week of this recording, and we're gonna pump out a couple more episodes. Then by the time my kid gets here, because I'm due before he is, it should give us enough time in between where we can get another recording in, and then his kid will come out, and it shouldn't affect any of the recordings whatsoever. So you can expect you're going to have everybody on Ready, Set, Roll. Is going to be on Ready, Set, Roll every episode, except for maybe Anthony because he's a wild card. And we should be, we won't miss any time. So your scheduled show will be every Tuesday, so don't worry about that.
How many more episodes do you think until the finale?
Oh man. So we are about to drop episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of fun stuff set up for our next recording session. Like a lot of interesting stuff set up. So that'll be another like 4 or 5 episodes, but I don't think that you're going to hit the season finale by then. So maybe I'd say like 8 or 9. So I'll probably try to stretch for another 20 episodes for the arc.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully I can keep my energy all the way through and speak a little louder than what I've been doing recently.
Yeah, I'm going to have to strap the microphone to your face.
It was the transition between Valric and Eldar, I swear.
It's like you start out strong. You always start out right up against the mic, and slowly you get farther and farther away. You're like Ricky Bobby with his hands. You just don't know what to do with it.
Well, we're coming to the end of the interview episode. So let's get into our pieces of insight for the month. What's your piece of insight for the people out there?
All right. This is going to be a DM insight. So I'm going to keep it. I got a little acronym for you. And it's been used in a lot of different situations. But KISS. When you make a campaign, remember, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. It's okay to have background set up and everything going forward, but have all that at the very beginning. And then have faith in your players to build the world. So, like I said already in the episode, I set up everything. I gave everybody a PDF. They read what characters and everything they already knew about the world. And then I just gave them the freedom to build it on their own. Yeah, I had our story beats, but everything you know about the Ermites was a little bit that I started at the beginning, and then I gave Daniel the reins and he ran with it. Everything you know about the Tieflings, I started out with a little bit at the very beginning. I gave Dylan the reins, and he ran with it. So don't be afraid to give your characters freedom to build the world for you. So, like I said before, keep it simple, stupid. Whenever you're making your D&D campaign, remember KISS. Just try to have a few key points that you keep your game confined in, but everything else it's gonna go out of control anyway. So, kind of let them have fun with it. I hope that makes sense, Dan.
Oh no, it definitely does. Keeping it simple, definitely better option as a DM than going way out there, right? Because anything could throw a wrench in plans. Be it a chaotic evil player, which as a DM you probably shouldn't allow that anyway, especially if it's your first time. Because chaotic evil characters burn campaigns to the ground quickly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
They don't burn churches down because of heresy.
Sound like Warhammer 40k joke there.
No, it's me playing your campaign when I was that evil cleric.
My piece of insight is this. For anybody out there who listens to the show and plays D&D, if you ever get into a really bad game and it's like ruining your perspective of it and all that, just remember that no D&D is better than bad D&D. You can always find another group. You can always like take time off and find another group to play with. I've heard it from many different people who said, "Man, I'm just not having fun with this group. Like the DM is just this railroading person who just isn't letting us have any freedom. All the players are just, oh, I'm the star of the show, so let me do what I want." Uh, so yeah, no D&D is better than bad D&D. Anything that ruins your fun of a game is not worth your time. Other than that, that's all my insight.
All right.
Craig, I want to thank you again for being on the show. Hopefully, I'll have a new guest from a different podcast like I did last month's episode, whenever all this craziness starts to settle down a little bit. Other than that, plugs are in the description down below in the show notes. You know us, Facebook, all the various listening platforms, Patreon, and all that good stuff. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Insight. We'll catch you later.
Keep it sexy, world.